Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark eviscerates Notre Dame AD as CFP battle of words grows. Enter Brett Yormark into the firestorm that is the Notre Dame athletic director's tirade over his school not making the college football playoff. Pete Bevacqua has been verbose about his disgust with how the ACC, in his perspective, openly lobbied against Notre Dame while politicking for Miami's CFP candidacy. But the rant has not set well with others, and among them is the Big 12 commissioner, Yormark, who said Bevacqua was out of bounds for how he's handled things since being kicked out of the postseason. Notre Dame declined bowl game invites, and Bevacqua has been angry over how the ACC, in which the institution is a conference member in 24 other sports except for football, targeted them. Speaking at the Sports Business Journal's Intercollegiate Athletics Forum on Tuesday, Yormark lashed out at Bevacqua. "I don't like how Notre Dame's reacted to it," Yormark remarked. "I think Pete, his behavior has been egregious. It's been ridiculous going after ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips when they saved Notre Dame during COVID. We all understood, and it was pretty open. CFP Chair Hunter Yurachek was very transparent about it. The chair, that is Notre Dame and Miami, drew closer together. Head-to-head would be a consideration. Okay, BYU lost. They drew closer together. Head-to-head made a difference in that decision. So I think he's entirely out of bounds in his approach, and if he was in the room, I'd tell him the same thing." Phillips did respond to Bevacqua's comments on Monday in a statement in which the ACC commissioner maintained a diplomatic tone, calling Notre Dame an incredibly valued member of the conference. The ACC commish also indicated that he stood behind the conference's efforts to advocate for all 17 of our football-playing member institutions. At no time was it suggested by the ACC that Notre Dame was not a worthy candidate for inclusion in the field, Phillips said in the statement. "We are thrilled for the University of Miami, while also understanding and appreciating the significant disappointment of the Notre Dame players, coaches, and program." The Brett Yormark Notre Dame controversy represents far more than a simple disagreement over playoff selection. It is a microcosm of the rapidly changing political, financial, and cultural landscape of college football in 2025. The tone, intensity, and public nature of the rhetoric reveal a sport caught in a tug-of-war between tradition and modernity, between independence and conference consolidation, and between institutional pride and pragmatic financial necessity. Notre Dame, long the emblem of college football exceptionalism, is discovering that independence carries steep costs in a world defined by conference alliances and playoff revenue shares. Pete Bevacqua's outcry is not merely frustration over one missed playoff berth. It reflects a deeper realization that Notre Dame's historical leverage is eroding. The expanded playoff, far from solving the problem, has created new complexities in which conferences have clearer incentives to protect their own members first. On the other hand, Brett Yormark's intervention illustrates how modern commissioners view public communication as a strategic battlefield. His aggressive criticism signals a desire to affirm stability, legitimacy, and authority at a time when conferences outside the SEC and Big Ten feel existential pressure. Yormark is carving out a role as one of the sport's most vocal and influential leaders. His defense of the ACC was not merely solidarity. It was a calculated display of leadership, confidence, and positioning. The ACC finds itself in the middle, needing Notre Dame's institutional value while simultaneously needing to champion its football-playing members. Jim Phillips' diplomatic statement reflects this contradiction. The conference cannot afford to alienate Notre Dame, yet it cannot appear weak in defending its choices. Ultimately, this conflict lays bare the uncomfortable reality that the college football playoff, despite expansion, remains inherently subjective. Every decision will create winners and losers, allies and enemies. The criteria, head-to-head, resume, conference championships, still leave room for interpretation, debate, and political maneuvering. But the most important takeaway is this. College football is entering an era in which traditional notions of loyalty, conference identity, and institutional independence are being replaced by strategic alliances, financial incentives, and public power struggles. Notre Dame must decide whether independence remains worth the political isolation it brings. Conferences must decide how aggressively to defend their turf. And the CFP must confront the growing perception that its decisions are influenced as much by political interests as by on-field results. The war of words between Yormark and bevacqua is not a temporary spat. It is the first major signal of a new era of open, publicized administrative conflict. It reflects a sport that is no longer guided by quiet negotiation, but by bold, public confrontation. The lines between conference unity and rivalry are blurring, and national brands like Notre Dame are no longer immune from criticism. In short, this episode marks a pivotal moment in the evolution of college football governance. It is the beginning of a new chapter, one in which power is no longer assumed, but fought for openly. And for Notre Dame, the message is unmistakable. Independence may be a proud tradition, but in the new world of college football politics, it may also be a costly vulnerability.